Long before the gleaming glass of Apple Park, the story of Apple didn't begin in a boardroom. It began with a rebellious idea, a soldering iron, and two friends in a California garage. This is the unfiltered history of Apple, the brilliant minds, the brutal betrayals, the revolutionary inventions, and the spectacular rise, fall, and resurrection of an empire. The year 1976. Steve Wozniak, an engineering savant, built a personal computer circuit board just to impress his friends at the Homebrew Computer Club. But his friend, a charismatic visionary named Steve Jobs, sees something much bigger, a business. On April 1, 1976, Jobs, Wozniak, and an older colleague, Ronald Wayne, officially found Apple Computer. Ronald Wayne notoriously sells his 10% share back to Jobs and Wozniak just 12 days later for $800. Today, that share would be worth over $300 billion. Their first product, the Apple I, was just a motherboard. But in 1977, they released the Apple II. It had a keyboard, a screen, and a sleek plastic case. It was a smash hit. Backed by a crucial $250,000 investment from Mike Markula, who became their adult supervision, Apple's valuation exploded. When Apple went public in December 1980, it generated more capital than any IPO since Ford Motor Company in 1956. But massive wealth brought massive friction. By the early 1980s, Jobs was heading the Macintosh team. To help run the booming company, Jobs recruited Pepsi executive John Scully, famously asking him, "Do you want to sell sugared water for the rest of your life? Or do you want to come with me and change the world?" In 1984, Apple launched the Macintosh with its legendary Super Bowl ad. It introduced the graphical user interface and the mouse to the masses. But behind the scenes, chaos brewed. The Mac was brilliant, but sales were sluggish. Jobs was notoriously erratic, demanding, and uncompromising. By 1985, a brutal power struggle ignited between Jobs and his handpicked CEO, John Scully. The board of directors sided with Scully. A devastated 30-year-old Steve Jobs was effectively fired from the company he created. He left and founded a new computer company, Next. Wozniak also stepped away that same year, feeling the company had lost its engineering soul. Without Jobs, Apple initially rode the success of the Mac, but by the mid-1990s, they were drowning. They launched confusing product lines, failed to update their operating system, and were bleeding cash. Microsoft's Windows 95 had eaten their lunch. By 1997, Apple was 90 days away from bankruptcy. Its valuation had plummeted. Desperate for a modern operating system, CEO Gil Amelio made a fateful decision. Apple purchased Next for $400 million. The deal brought Steve Jobs back. Within months, Jobs orchestrated a boardroom coup, dethroned Amelio, and became interim CEO. His first order of business slashed Apple's bloated product line by 70%, struck a shock $150 million investment deal with arch-rival Microsoft to keep the lights on, and famously told his team, "We have to let go of the notion that for Apple to win, Microsoft has to lose." What followed was the greatest corporate turnaround in history. Partnering with design genius Johnny Ive, Jobs transformed Apple from a struggling computer maker into a global lifestyle brand. In 1998, the colorful iMac G3 saved the company. In 2001, the iPod put 1,000 songs in your pocket, fundamentally changing the music industry. Apple's valuation began a steady, aggressive climb. Then came 2007. Jobs introduced three things: a widescreen iPod, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communicator. It wasn't three devices, it was the iPhone. It sold over 6 million units, completely redefining what a phone could be. From there, Apple ignited a relentless annual cycle of innovation. This single product redefined human communication and turned Apple into an absolute financial juggernaut. By 2011, Apple had released the iPad and surpassed Microsoft in value. But tragedy struck. Steve Jobs passed away from pancreatic cancer in October 2011. Many critics declared the golden age of Apple was over, wondering if Jobs' successor, operations genius Tim Cook, could keep the magic alive. Under Tim Cook, Apple didn't just survive, it scaled to unimaginable heights. Cook expanded the iPhone lineup, launched the Apple Watch and AirPods, and heavily pivoted towards services like Apple Music and iCloud. The financial growth was unprecedented. In 2018, Apple became the first US company to hit a $1 trillion valuation. Just 2 years later, it hit $2 trillion. By 2023, Apple briefly crossed the monumental $3 trillion mark, making it richer than the GDP of most nations. But the ascent to $3 trillion hasn't been without friction. The company faced Batterygate in 2017, where it admitted to slowing down older iPhones to prevent unexpected shutdowns, resulting in a $500 million settlement and a battered public image. Today, they continue to fight intense global antitrust scrutiny over their App Store fees and their tightly closed ecosystem. With their custom M-series and A-series computer chips effortlessly outpacing competitors, and their ambitious pivot into spatial computing with the Vision Pro, they are not just riding the wave of the iPhone, they are still chasing the next big paradigm shift. From a dusty garage to a multi-trillion-dollar empire, Apple's story is a testament to the power of design, the brutal realities of business, and the relentless pursuit of the future.